Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm inviting you guys to paint along with me. I'm going to show you step by step how to paint this Italian scene. Today I've got a 16 by 20 pre-painted canvas. I just took some white and black and covered up an old canvas and painted it gray. I'm going to go over the colors I'm using today, and the brush to start, I've got a 2-inch angle flat. You can use a regular flat if you want, doesn't matter. And I've got the following colors: titanium white, cerulean blue, yellow ochre, cadmium orange, cool hue, dioxazine purple, neon rose, turquoise blue, light blue violet, light olive green, and Mars black. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and work on the sky first, then the mountains in the distance, and then the water. And then we'll work our way up to the foreground, which will be our steps and our beautiful gate. I'm going to get my brush wet. This will really help. Just a little bit of water on my brush is really going to help spread that paint around a lot easier. So what I want to do is start with a bit of a peachy tone here, and I'm going to go into my yellow ochre and some of my orange and some white. And I'm just going to take quite a bit of paint here because I've got a big canvas, and the horizon is going to be just above halfway. Pick up a little bit more white. I'm going to add some at the top here, and then without washing my brush off, I'm going to go right into my blue. Now I'm going to take a little bit of cerulean and some blue violet and a little bit of white. So I've got all three colors on here. I'm going to start kind of where I left off here with the peach. Work my way down into that peach slightly, just so we can kind of gradiate a little bit. I need a little bit more white, a bit of water, and slightly go over that peach at the top and a little bit more down below. If you want to have a really pretty sort of bluebird sky, then make sure you add a little bit more white to your brush. Okay, that way you'll get that soft glow once it's dry. Okay, I'm going to go down below, same blues and a bit of white. And I'm just going to start coming in, going up and down for a few mountains in the distance. Then I'm going to get my brush wet, take a little bit more yellow ochre, white, and peach. I've still got some of that blue left over in my brush, and I'm going to come right underneath the mountains in the distance. Pull back and forth, side to side, then right back in with my blues and white. And then the darkest, I'll take just straight turquoise blue, cerulean blue, and a little bit of black. Okay, a little bit more black, blues. A little bit of water, work that paint out. A little bit more black. I can use a little bit of black here because I've got so much blue left in my brush. Now we are going to be going over part of this with some steps, but I just want to make sure I've got the right color that I want here. And I'm going to switch to number 12 filbert brush now. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet, and I'm going to take that blue and white. And just soften over the top of the mountains. So it goes up a little higher here, then it slopes down. And then it gets a little bit darker. So each mountain in front of the other, closer to us, gets darker. Okay, so you're going to just come in a little bit lower. With the darker mountains. Make sure you have a little bit of water on your brush just to help spread that paint around more smoothly. And then I'll go up and down again. And then we're going to have our darkest. I'm just taking a little bit more of the black with my blues. We'll have one that kind of comes up, one goes right up like this. And then a little one off to the side here. A little bit lower and gradually slopes down. Okay, then I'm just going to wash my brush out and soften the bottom. Just sweep that off. And have it just disappear. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is take a little bit more of that peach and white, orange, yellow ochre, blue, and white. Get this really light, soft, smoky, peachy color. And I'm going to go across here again. A little bit of water to help work that out. It'll prevent, the little bit of water in there will help prevent your brush from kind of skipping because it's kind of dry, and that's what happens, right? So every time that happens, just take a little bit of water and thin your paint out. And we can just start coming in with some gentle movement here in the water. Little highlights from where the water kind of goes up and catches the sunlight. And then I'm going to take a little bit of turquoise, a little bit more turquoise and white. And I'll start adding little slopes in the water like this. A little bit of water on my brush. I just mention this to you guys because, you know, you don't know how much water I'm adding until I mention it. You might think that a little bit of water here and there goes for a long time, but see already? See the difference? When the water and the paint are out of my brush, then you start getting that skipping happening where you're left with those dry, bare spots. Okay, I'm gonna work up here a little bit. Come back up here and add some of that beautiful turquoise. The blue turquoise is a really nice color, but you know, you can, depending on what the lighting's like during the day, you can get even more of like a green turquoise on the water. So just use whatever you have or your preferred color choice. It doesn't necessarily have to be this. And there's lots of different blues that you could go in the direction of, like a beautiful phthalo blue or Prussian blue. All you have to do is just follow the same techniques and applications that I'm adding. Just the light and the dark and the midtones. And then we'll have a few little diamonds here on the water, little dots and dabs like this. Just to make the water look kind of sparkly. So I'm going to take one of my little brushes. I've got a number 2 round brush that I'll just grab here. You can just apply these little of course it'll work better when the paint is drier. I want to just blend in with that turquoise. But you'll just add a little bit of white, just the same way you would add stars in your paintings. In the sky, right? Little soft orbs like this, kind of fuzzy on the outside, and then you don't want to space them out, like you don't want to create a pattern. You want it to be more sporadic, but in kind of one area. Otherwise it's going to look like snow. So have them kind of randomly in a group. So the best way to be random and prevent a pattern from happening is just by doing it quickly. Don't think, just go. Trust in your brush and just let it dab, dab, dab. Then I come in with one of my really small, fine liner brushes, and you can just pull a little line from the center out in both directions to make it look kind of sparkly. Now I've got a few different tutorials really in depth on how to create realistic looking water, and I call it diamonds on the water, just so sparkly and magical looking. So have a look at that if you really want to learn and to perfect your water painting skills. I break it down in really easy steps for you. So like the whole video, the whole tutorial is just on water. There's nothing else going on in the painting. It's just that, and it's really pretty actually. Just a close-up of water can make a really nice painting. And I've got lots of other like wave tutorials too if you want to work up to more movement. Depends on what you want to paint, what you're out for, but I do focus a lot on water in my paintings. It's important for me. I like water. I'm drawn to the water. Okay, so there we have a few little diamonds in the water and sparkles. We've got our mountains. And while I've got this little brush, this will really help me to start my boat. So I'm going to just go ahead and start working on that. We're going to do the boat kind of, you know, right about here. We could have it dead center, but if we just pull it off a little bit from the center to either more towards the left or the right, That's going to make your painting more interesting. Sometimes it's too predictable to have something really dead center in a painting. Like, you can if you want, but if you want a little tip, have your focal point be a little off-centered. So that's what I'm going to do right here. I'm just going to get some water on my brush, and I'm going to take that, really loosen up this bluey gray color that I deepened with the black. And I'm going to paint a line. I'm going to just have my finger right here and go right down. If it's a little crooked, I don't even care. I'm not out for perfection in my paintings, but if you guys want to sketch yours out first, that's just fine too. So I'm just going to place my pinky right here and go over that. And then I'm going to add a little, just make this a little bit taller. And then I'm going to add another line from here just down to here. And this one can be a little bit lighter. I'm going to go back over to my round brush. And just go over this a little bit. Thin it out with a little bit of water like that. Okay, then I'm going to take some white. I'm just going to go right from where that rope is, that line, and just pull across right to about there. I'm going to take a little bit of the peach, so just tinting my white with that. I'm going to bring it up on a slant, up, down, and then a slant again. So because this is far away, we don't need to add a lot of detail. So don't feel like you have to overdo it. Don't spend too much time. I'm just gonna take my blue, black, make a dark color here. Go over that line just a little bit. Gently push and then sweep down. Have this come down here a little bit lower, and then from here on an angle, don't bring it down too low though, and then cross, and fill it in. The angle of the boat in the back here is kind of slanted like that. I'm going to take a little bit of black and a little bit more of my blue. I don't want it to be completely black because it is far away and should be a little bit lighter. Okay, then I'm going to go into my mix up that color with my lighter blues. And go inside here, pull it out, and then add a line like this, so we're mirroring this. I'm just adding a little reflection, and then a little bit of white. And then a little bit of black. I'm just being a little bit picky here, but I want to take a flat brush with a bit of water on it. And just soften this line. Then I'm going to add a few little dabs like this, or something little. Maybe it's people, maybe it's just equipment on the boat, whatever. Just a few little lines and dabs here. That's all you need to worry about. I'm going to bring it out a little bit longer here, because this line shouldn't be in the middle. So I'm going to stretch this out, which is really easy to do. Just add a little bit of white in here, soften, a little bit more black and blue. A few more lines. I'm just going to sweep over this other line with a little bit of white. Add a little bit of white down here for some waves in the water, just a little gentle reflection as well. A few little lines, pulling and flicking down like this. All these little things can help to create a little reflection in the water. I'll take a little bit of that peach color that I made with my orange and white. Slope down a little bit lower as it gets down here toward the left side. Just finish off a little bit of black there. Okay, so now we can move on to the next step, which are actually going to be the steps. So I'm going to use a large flat brush. I've got this one here. It's number 11 or 12. Anything a little bit bigger would work as well. I wouldn't recommend going any smaller. It might just be a little bit, you might struggle a little bit with trying to spread the paint. Okay, so I'm going to take my peach, yellow ochre, and some white. I don't want to over mix. I just want to take both colors. And I want to paint some either like a marble staircase or kind of terracotta colored. And I want to bring it sort of in like this, little angle like this, and then pull across. Take a little bit of white and some water. So I just picked up the paint and then dunked my brush in the water. And you can do it in the reverse as well. You can get water first on your brush. Okay, a little bit more water. Just gonna pull, pull, pull. Okay, and then more of the white. And the angle that it's on, the step for here, is going to be thicker than the other ones. So it'll get narrower as it goes down. And kind of slant down like that. So it'll be slightly sloped on an angle, the lines and the steps. I'll just take a little bit of blue, bluey gray, mix it with a little bit of that peachy color. And just add a few little lines in here. Okay, then I'm going to come in on the side with some black, blue, and white. I don't want to overmix too much. And I'm going to get my brush wet, pick those colors up again. I'm going to go from the top on an angle, little angle like this. Pull down, a little bit more black. Black. Go with the angle here. There'll be a little wall, partial wall here. So bring it out on a slant like that. We'll do the same thing over here. We're gonna have an extra one there though. slant. Bring it down. And this one's going to be a bit narrower. Because we're seeing more of this side than this side. We're turned just slightly. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of that peach white with the gray in my brush. And I'm going to turn my brush over like this. And I'm going to pull and drag. Take a little bit of black. And just catch along the edge there. Whoops, no green. We'll just do the same thing over here with a little bit of black now. A few little cross down, just to get more of a pattern. And then a little bit of peach here on the corner. Try that again. Use my smaller brush, my number 2 round, and I'll add a little triangle in here. This is just for the front and the corner, catching the light there. Same as this side. I'll add another little layer right down here. I'm going to add a little bit of purple right here to the boat just to make it darker but not black, just so that it has, ooh, I like that, a little bit of color. And maybe some down here. A little bit of that turquoise and the purple together will make a really pretty color. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of that. I think that's really pretty. And this is the blue turquoise and dioxazine purple that I'm mixing for this specific shade. I'm gonna add a little bit of the turquoise in, this blue turquoise in with a boat. And now I'm going to come in with another layer on the steps. I use a little bit of yellow ochre, more white. You want to get really close to those darker lines. That way it'll feel a little bit more like steps, but it's really like so bright from the sunlight in this painting and a few of the pictures that I'm looking at. I'm not making up this one. I know a lot of the times I do make up my paintings, but if I happen to see a photo or a few photos and it's really giving me some inspiration, sometimes I just have to paint it. I'm just gonna use the corner of my brush here with a little bit of yellow ochre and just tap another little sparkle here. You can soften with your finger too for some of them. And add a few extra ones. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the gate. And I'm going to paint the gate in black, mainly black. You can add a little bit of purple. I've got so much paint here. I might have to do another painting after this to use this all up. So I'm going to add a line down here. Right to about there. And then let's see, from here I'm going to connect those. Don't forget, we're going to have some Wisteria as well. And again, try yours out, measure it if you want, if you feel more comfortable doing that. This is how I like to approach my paintings. It's more fun for me this way. Okay, and then we've got that line that goes down there. And then from here, we're going to go out. And join those. Okay, so we've got a thicker frame here, and then the lines, the bars in between, are going to be thinner. Put a little line up like that. It's going to be a little bit darker here. Take some purple, some shadow over here. And then we'll do the same thing. Little line there. We're not really going to see this up here. It's going to be covered in Wisteria. Just go over in black. A little bit of purple and water. I'm going to thin this out a little bit. So you can just take paint off with a damp brush, just a little bit of water, and gently scrub it off. Few lines there. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with my thinner lines and bars. And then right from about here, we can take this off on an angle. Add another line here. Gonna sort of make it kind of slightly scooped. And then we'll feel like the gates are kind of have a little bit of a arch to them or pop out a little bit. I'll bring this one around a little bit more. Bring it up and down. Okay, so 2 lines here, 2 lines here, 2 and 2. So I'm doing 6 of these bars on either side, but you can make a few less or even a few more if you want. So I'm going to make this one kind of scoop a little bit as well. And then so up here, down, and then just a little bit up, back on the end. Add a little bit more to this step. I'll push this down a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight, turn my brush over, tap the bottom, up the edge, just up the edge here, and then a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to come in and add a few scrolls. I've got a size number 2 liner brush. We got some water and some black paint. And I'm just going to start by scrolling over like that, like that. And you can make up your own design if you want. I make these ones a little bit smaller. Okay, and then I'm just going to continue sort of making up my own design here and having fun. I'm going to go from here, curl out, bring it over. Down and over, curl under. Okay, and then down here. I think it's so much fun to just get lost in painting little swirls and scrolls like this. It's therapeutic for me. I'll take a little bit off right here. I'm just going to continue along here, adding a few more scrolls. Remember to use a little bit of water with your liner brush. It'll really help. Okay, so I think it's time to start coming in with our Wisteria now. And I'm going to paint a branch first. And I'm going to use a small filbert brush, number 2, and take yellow ochre, some purple, a little bit of green, a little bit of black in there. Take all those colors again. And just start to twist around like this. A little bit more green here and there. And a little bit of black where we want to have some shadow. So mainly where it goes in, it twists in like that. Take a little bit of green here. And just have it twisting and wrapping around the gate here. Okay, I'm going to take one of my angle oval lot brushes and tap in a little bit of my light olive green. For some leaves. Now some across the top as well. You can mix in a little bit of black too for some shadows. And then a little bit of white with the green for some highlights. Gotta have those highlights. Okay, now time for the purple. Okay, so I'm going to start with purple, same brush. Just tap and then make it kind of narrower. Same thing on this side. Okay, then I'm going to take some white and a little bit of my rose in with a purple. A little bit more white. See where we have the bright green highlights? That's where we need to have some of our brightest highlights on our flowers too. And now some white. I'm going to be a little bit more generous with my white because I know it's going to dry a bit darker. just for a little shadow. I'll just add a little bit of this here. A little bit of the blue violet as well. Okay, I'd also like to add a few highlights to these areas in here where the light would be catching. And then just balance some of those lines out with a little bit of black. And then I'll add just a little bit more green highlights here. I'll mix up some more black and orange to make brown. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. This was really relaxing and fun to paint. I hope you guys want to paint along, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's free, and I'd love for you to join. See you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.